You're sitting here right now watching this course because in one way or another, you want to be successful. So I want you to take a moment and think about every successful person who has inspired you. Who are they? Once you have a few people in your head, then listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is something that they all have in common. Every single successful person you know, every industry leader, everybody who you aspire to be like, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, J.K. Rowling, they all have this one thing in common, which is that they are all creative problem solvers. This means that when they're faced with a problem that's preventing them from reaching their goals, they come up with creative solutions. It doesn't matter how big their roadblock is, or how many failed attempts they've had, or how many rejections that they hear, they'll find a creative solution to get it done. We call this the hacker mentality. Now, I don't want you to get mixed up with a don't give up mentality. It's not the same thing at all. Don't give up is something that sounds nice, but it's pretty shitty, vague advice if it's not supplemented by any other piece of advice. Because being persistent isn't the end-all be-all characteristic that is going to make you successful. For success, you need to become obsessed with finding creative solutions. A classic example of this is the 9 dots puzzle. The goal here is to connect all the dots by drawing 4 straight continuous lines that pass through each of the 9 dots and never lifting the pencil from the paper. So most people who see this puzzle for the first time will start drawing lines like so, staying within the square defined by the 9 dots. Not giving up doesn't really help much here, because you can do this all day, all night, and you'll never find a solution. On the other hand, if you have a hacker mentality, you would think, okay, what I'm doing is obviously not working. There has to be another way around this. Well, let's read the rules again. It says nothing about staying within the boundaries of the square, so what if I did something like this? And that is when you'll be able to come up with a creative solution. Obviously, that's a very primitive example because the puzzles that you'll encounter in life is often a lot more complex than that. But the point here is that the hacker mentality isn't just about not giving up. It's about testing unconventional methods, because the alternative methods, aka the conventional methods, are way too slow. Oftentimes, conventional methods are incredibly inefficient, ineffective, and expensive. Most people don't look for creative solutions because they see what everyone else is doing and they just follow the crowd. This is a fundamental problem in society that stretches far beyond wanting to become a content creator. Think about it. In school, nobody teaches you how to become a creative problem solver. In America, at least, you grow up having to run a mile within a certain time frame, or memorizing characters from different books, or what the economy was like in 1920. But you don't learn how to solve problems creatively. So the result is, most people don't know how to have a hacker mentality. Most people have the opposite. Most people have a herd mentality, where you just do what you've been told your whole life and you copy what other people around you do. The good news is that a hacker mentality can be learned. This concept is inspired by James Shamsi, a friend of ours, who growth hacked a Facebook page from 0 to over 1.6 million likes in 7 months without spending any money. If you've tried to start your own Facebook page, or any social media account for that matter, you probably know that that kind of growth is insane. Even for people who have years of experience in social media, that kind of growth is virtually unheard of. That's the kind of results you see when you have millions of dollars to dump into an advertising campaign and viral advertising. But James didn't need millions of dollars because he has a hacker mentality. Instead of pouring money into ads, he crafted a clever growth strategy that was both fast and free. Instead of uploading a video onto Facebook and hoping for the best like most people do, he submitted it to every single Facebook group and blog that he could think of. When influencers were ignoring his messages sent by James himself, he created a new fake profile and messaged people with a cute girl named Lucy, which resulted eventually in a major deal with one of the biggest influencers in his niche. James doesn't do what most people do because he knows that what most people do sucks. James has been approaching problems this way for a very, very long time. I actually remember the first time I heard of him, and this was way before we actually met him in person. I was scrolling through my Facebook newsfeed and I saw this headline from a really big blog, I think it was Mashable. This guy put his resume on Tinder. And I remember thinking to myself, that's hilarious, but also incredibly genius. Most unemployed people submit their resumes to as many companies as they can. It's like a numbers game. But what James did is the perfect example of a hacker mentality. Uploading the resume to Tinder only took a few minutes, and reaching out to these blogs probably took a day or two, but it resulted in national news coverage and eventually a job. All right, so how can you develop a hacker mentality? First, understands that you haven't been taught this way of thinking before. There's a pretty good chance that 99.9% of the people around you aren't solving problems creatively. They're doing everything in the same inefficient way that everybody else is. And when you do what everybody else does, you're going to see the same results as everybody else sees. The first step to having a hacker mentality is really deeply, truly understanding that your solutions to problems need to be different if you want to see different results. The second thing is that this is the mentality you need to approach every single problem with. This is the hacker's mantra. There is always another way, you just need to find it. Whether you're trying to get featured by a huge blog or get 1 million views overnight or get national news coverage, there is always a way. Here's an example. Our first channel has a segment called Simple Tips, where we took a break from the comedy-based videos and gave heart-to-heart motivational life advice. Our Simple Tips videos were consistently getting way less views than our other videos, specifically 50% less. Now, we knew that these videos were great content because the response in the comments and the like to dislike ratio was overwhelmingly positive, but they consistently fell below our average view count by a lot. So we set a goal to make this next Simple Tips video go viral for the first time. Around the time that we were filming this video, we discovered something pretty interesting on Reddit. All the videos that got to the front page of the subreddit r/videos almost always resulted in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. So that means getting posted on the front page of that subreddit is like automatically being in the feed of 13 million people. We knew we wanted to utilize Reddit, but how do you get to the front page? That was the question that we were asking ourselves. So here's what most people would do. They would just submit their video and then hope for the best. Now, that's not really having a hacker mentality. Had we done that, our video would have never reached the front page. Instead, I started doing a lot of research about this and figuring out how to get on the front page of our videos. What data points does Reddit use to figure out which posts will go to the top? Is it based on how many comments there are? Is it based on overall upvotes? Is it based on a time limit? Is there a specific kind of video that works better than others? Does it matter what site it comes from? And a million other questions. These are the questions that we continue to ask ourselves and to continue to do research on. Eventually, I found the answer. After only about a couple days of research, I found one comment on a random thread explaining that Reddit, at the time, has an algorithm that you can beat. It stated that if you get over 10 upvotes in the first 10 minutes, you're giving your video a really great shot at hitting the front page. However, those 10 upvotes can't come from the same IP address because Reddit's smarter than that. They're gonna know if you're just using 10 laptops to upvote yourself. But what Reddit wouldn't know is if you submitted your post and then sent 10 of your friends to then upvote that post on their phones. Now that is a hacker mentality. So not only did we try this, but it turned out that it actually worked. And our Simple Tips video went viral with over 6.2 million views. The next Simple Tips video we did resulted in 3.4 million views. So we pretty much got a 15 to 20 times multiple on our view count with just this one creative solution. I'm not sure if this Reddit hack will work anymore because they're constantly changing their algorithm, but this is the kind of thinking that you should be exploring. Whenever you're faced with a problem, remember that in order to see different results, you need to try different strategies. The hacker mentality is baked into all of the strategies laid out in this course. But even with that said, when we teach you something, what I want you to remember is that you can constantly be innovating on that and hack our hack. Instead of uploading a YouTube video and simply hoping for the best, you'll learn every growth hacking strategy we've used to attract die-hard subscribers incredibly fast. Instead of hoping that a blog will feature you, you'll learn our blog targeting strategy that can 10x your subscriber count overnight. Instead of aimlessly brainstorming content, we'll teach you how to come up with shareable ideas that have a much higher chance of going viral. Everything you're learning in this course operates under the assumption that you're not going to see the same results that everybody else does. Just remember to keep in mind that there is always a way. You just have to find it.